Everybody, I am Katrina from In Cat We Trust, and we will be talking about, in this video, my review on James Wan's Malignant. But before I get into my thoughts about the movie, please click the notification bell to get all notifications of any new videos or interviews I do on my channel. So, when I first heard about the movie Malignant, I wasn't sure what I was going to expect, but a lot of the promotions for the movie was saying that the movie was scary, it was creepy, it was unsettling. And being a really, really big horror movie buff like I am, I was like, yes, we need more horror movies that you can talk about like 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. And why I know horror is like so much. You have the slasher movies, you have the ghost stories, you got the like stalker type horror movies, you got all types of horror movies and things that, you know, can fall on like even the horror comedy movies that are like comedies, but there's like horror elements. There's so much of horror movies. We even got like cult classes with movies that kind of suck, at least in my opinion, but everybody loves them and they watch them anyway, even if they're kind of shitty, and everybody watched them. So me being a horror movie fan, I like to try to watch as many horror movies as I can because I'm a weirdo and I love horror movies and I like feeling uneasy and creepy and stuff. So I'm a big fan mostly of type, like, again, the psychological horror movies, the movies that's kind of like paranormal, ghost story kind of movies. Those are my favorite kind of movies. And my reasoning for that is because, well, if you can't see the threat, how do you defeat it? Or if it's something that you can't really explain right away, well, how do you defeat it? Or how do you get to the light at the end of the tunnel? So James Wan already gave me The Conjuring. And I tell people, I know people don't like it, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, The Conjuring 3 kind of fell a little flat for me. And I was excited for it because, again, I love, you know, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as the Warrens. I love them together. I think they have great chemistry. And The Conjuring 2 wasn't terrible. And you got the spin-offs, and I can talk about how Annabelle just... Even though I did like Annabelle Creation, that movie was very good. I did not like the first Annabelle. But anyway, the actress, Mia... what from Annabelle is in Malignant. So James Wan already gave me Conjuring, and The Conjuring is a like masterful horror movie. Perfect pacing, good camera angles, like is based on a true story, and of course they embellished a bit because it's a horror movie, let's make it more scary, but it was just perfect in so many ways. One of the best horror movies I've seen in a long time. And he also gave me Insidious, and again Patrick Wilson played one of the main characters in Insidious. And, you know, nice, perfect, like, oh, it's not the house that's haunted, it's your son that's haunted, and he's the reason why all this crap is happening. And you see the guy with, like, the red and black face, and you see Elise looking in the corner. We don't see it, but she sees it, and it's, like, really creepy. And it was just perfectly done, perfectly directed, perfect pacing. So I was ready, like, for Malignant. I was like, I'm not going to be scared because I don't get scared easily. And then by the end of the movie... I was just like, so, James, why, James? Why we did this? So the beginning of the movie, there's going to be a little bit of spoilers, so I'm telling you guys now. Not a lot, because personally, I'm not going to recommend you watching it. But in the very beginning, we start off with, like, this couple in the house, and already the main character has, like, the dark hair. She looks depressed, and I'm like, oh, so you're depressed already? You know, horror movies love to go for the depressed people, because it's like, well, what do you got to live for? Or what do you got to lose when you're depressed already? So, like, horror people like to mess with the depressed people. It's very, you know, sometimes you want the person to be strong and make it to the end without all the screaming and crying, which is what I like about You're Next, because at least the girl in that movie was ready to kick some ass. And I'm like, that's right, sis, because I can't be having anybody crying and, oh my god, what happened? None of that crap, okay? But anyway, usually when you got psychological horror movies, the things go for the person that's considered the weakest link, the emotional one, the depressed one. So the wife already seemed a bit depressed to me. She was also pregnant, and there was a bit of a miscarriage happening, but I think the very opening was how her husband was with her. I automatically got a bad vibe about the husband from the first few like moments they showed him, and I was just like, I don't really like him. And then he was abusive, and he like hit her, like he banged her head into the wall, and like she kind of passed out, and he gave his raggedy like, I'm sorry, blah blah blah, it's like abuse people like to do, and then start getting a little creepy. So you see that you know, the main character, the wife, she's like having this weird dream, and she wakes up, and now we go downstairs to where the husband is. And we see this really, like, you know, the lights are going out, things like this, everything just seems kind of creepy and off. And we see this like shadowy looking creature behind him. And then, oh snap, he's dead. So I'm like, yes! First of all, this is what you get, husband, for being abusive. We don't do abuse. None of that. So that's what you get. You know, if you want to do shenanigans like this and hurt people, you deserve not to make it to the end of the movie. So I was actually okay with him dying. So I was like, oh, this is great. This is some really weird thing. We don't know what it is. This is like some shadowy thing. Oh, I can't wait to see what we're going to get. And then, I don't know what James was thinking. And I know some people really found it like bananas. And some people really was like, oh, it was like off the wall. And I guess if that's your kind of thing, when you like horror movies to kind of do a complete swerve. And it's like out of the box. But because, again, it was promoted as being unsettling, I expected something totally different than what we got. It was really odd where, while I did guess part of the movie, again, spoiler, that it was something to do with the fact when her head got hit on the wall. And pretty much it was like she had some kind of like twin that was kind of attached, but it didn't completely form. And it was like, you know, it's like a cancer kind of thing. Like, that's why it's called Malignant. It was kind of like a cancerous tumor that kind of like formed into like a person. So I want to call it like a twin. But it was like a tumor, malignant tumor that happened to be like forming and was also controlling some of the things that she was doing. So they kind of like had to do surgery and kind of get rid of it. So she didn't remember any of this until this happened, you know, as the movie went along. And she was adopted, which is, again, one of the situations like, oh, you have a really weird backstory. Adoption, because that always explains why nobody knows about the family. And you're just like, oh, surprise, this is what's happening. So we had that storyline, and then all of a sudden, like, her tumor guy thingy was, like, doing all types of flips. There was a scene in the police department when she was, like, having a shootout. And I just want, before I go on to that part, the cop in the movie legit ran after her for a long time. Like, personally, if I had to run this long, I would have been like, you know what? It's perfectly fine if I don't run after you. And if I get in trouble for this job, it's fine, because I'm not doing all this running and flipping off fire escapes and going down alleys and into windows. I personally am not doing that. Personally. But, you know, ups to him for that. But anyway, there was a whole weird shootout scene in, like, the police station where it was a lot of, like, this action stuff. And I was just really like, but what is happening here? So by the end, it was like, also, I did appreciate, you know, the character and her adoptive sister, how she's like, this is my sister, and it was a real, like, tight sister bond, and I did appreciate that, because sometimes during these horror movies, we see a lot of breaking up with the families in horror movies, so I really appreciate that her sister was writing for her, and I respected that so much. But it was just such a weird turn from the very beginning that I was left feeling very confused and very upset that I even watched the movie. I was just like, this. And I really wanted to love it because James Wan is my guy. You know, he directed Aquaman, and y'all know how I feel about Jason Momoa. Y'all know. Like, look at him. Y'all know how I feel about him. He's doing Aquaman 2, and I'm like, yes, yes. Again, he gave me Insidious, he gave me The Conjuring, and it was perfect. And then this, I was just like, James, is this like a fever dream or something? Like, what's happening? I was really confused. So, to sum all of that up, I wouldn't recommend it. And it makes me very sad to say, because I am a James Wan fan. I'm a fan of most of his work. But just this movie didn't hit the way I wanted it to hit. And it was really sad and very depressing, because I really, really wanted to love it. I watched it HBO Max on opening night. You know, I didn't go to the movie theaters because COVID's not really, I'm not really feeling it just yet. But I watched it on HBO Max, and I was just like, so, I mean, I guess, James, like, this is what you gave me in 2021. I was very sad about that. So I hope if he does another horror movie, it is not this. And, like, it sticks to what I'm used to. I get he wanted to go a different way, and, you know, he's a director, do what you need to do. But I personally did not like it. If I'm giving it out of a 5, I would give it a 2. Maybe for, like, again, I loved the opening. And it was different, but I was just really upset that I watched it and wasted time. And I don't like wasting time with movies. I feel so like, oh, I can't get that hour or two back. Like, you know, I could do in an hour or two, and so it sucked. So that's my review and thoughts on Malignant. You guys tell me in the comments what you think. Did you like it? Did you think, like, oh, what's happening, James? If you liked the movie, if you enjoyed the movie, If you feel like I feel confused, let me know in the comments. I can't wait to read them. And thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.